And now, Touch My Bass Productions presents The Shootout with Bill Blanchard.
How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the Wrestling Shootout. This is the Shootout. Real talk about professional wrestling, any kind of professional wrestling. Whether it be backyard, indie, professional wrestling, WWE, TNA, old school NWA or WCW. This is a new podcast show being sponsored by Touch My Bass Production. I want to thank all my local sponsors out there, including IBC Root Beer and Dr. Pepper and IGA Grill-On Steaks. Tonight's my very first show, the pilot episode, if you would. My special guest tonight, the legend himself, the man who made Insane famous in Harlem and Grovetown, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christopher, the Fire to the End, Dickens. Chris, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. It's awesome to be the first guest on this podcast, and a lot of people don't know this. I'm actually in charge of Touch My Bass Production, so I'm actually the man who fronted this thing. So it's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure.
Well, like I said, when you first hit me up about this, you're the first person I wanted on my show here, because we go way back, Chris.
We do.
All the way back from 1999 when we first started this AWF thing. But I'm not gonna go to the whole history lesson here about wrestling careers and everything. Tonight, I want to talk about some of your sadistic, crazy, hardcore moments in wrestling, whether it be in AWF, whether it be in Flatline. Body Bag Incorporated, Wrestling for Jesus, Shock Value Pro Wrestling.
Wow.
Let's talk about it all. But right now, the first question I want to ask you tonight is, what was the craziest thing you ever did in the ring that people said, oh my God, that boy is stupid?
Put over Brandon Parker.
What?
No.
Damn.
Sorry.
I didn't see that one coming.
Probably the most craziest thing I've ever did was in 2008 against Kid Cutter or Charlie Anarchy, a Glass Shatters match.
Oh, I remember that match.
That was the most insane match I have ever been in. Now picture this. The match objective, it's like a tables match with the exception of a table being a sheet of glass. It's supposed to be tempered glass, so it wouldn't cut or, do any damage. This match, going into it, I didn't really have any thoughts about how bad it would be until I actually saw the glass being placed on the setup. And that's when the thoughts were like, oh my God, I'm going to walk away from this and have to go to the hospital and get 10,000 stitches.
But Chris, I want to talk about this now. Like I said, this is the shootout. This is real talk. I'm going to hit you with some real hard questions about this match. And I'm glad you brought this match up and everything because, I'm going to air this match on Wrestling's Classics. Okay. There's a lot of real heat between you and Charlie Anarchy.
There is.
As Kid Cutter, or was at that time period. He was the owner of SWF, Southern Wrestling Federation. You were considered the owner and CEO of AWFX and AWF.
The Adrenaline Wrestling Foundation.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of real stuff that happened between you two guys. You guys used to work together at a restaurant and everything, and y'all had a lot of talks and everything. But, that was an epic matchup. Y'all had a few little matches in the past in Shock Value and in AWF, but this particular match right here, the Glass Shatter match, okay?
That was the brutal thing.
Yeah, that was the match that really ended all wars between you and him.
You can call that the rubber match between me and
that was the rubber match.
Mr. Anarchy.
But let me ask you this question now. The part I'm referring to as when Charlie had this DVD player and he smacked it across your skull. Not only your head bled a little bit in the match, but I think, oh my God. You were still standing after he hit you. I mean, Charlie, he treated you like a baseball on a tee.
He did.
He ripped back and just smacked.
The video is still on YouTube under the AWF Classics On Demand, and you could actually go and watch that segment. It was on AWF Unleashed Episode 1. And, yes, he picked up a DVD player, and he hit me so hard with the DVD player that it broke into 3 pieces. And I fell back against what we called the Ring of Steel at the time. And I was sitting there, and the only thing rolling through my mind was that a Sony or was that a JVC DVD player? Because that hurt like hell.
Now, I remember after that match, Charlie was sitting there saying, hey, I know Dickens was going to really hit me hard if I didn't hit him everything I had, so I had to hit Dickens everything all my might. Now, do you think he really dealt with full intentions to hurt you, or was he trying to make a good show?
No. Here's the thing about me, and a lot of the guys in the business who have worked with me in the ring know that I work to the highest capacity level possible. Yeah, I will throw everything at you in a hardcore match. Just ask Andy Pate. Just ask Andrew Taylor. Just ask any of those guys who have been in the ring with me. I will take a beating, and I will give it back tenfold. So Charlie, when he was going into the match, had the mindset of, yeah, we're going to give it everything we got, and I'm going to give you everything I've got. And he did, and it stands the test of time. I mean, if it would have been anything less, would we be sitting here talking about it right now?
That is true. One last question about that particular matchup. The closing part of this match, you was on the glass table.
Yes.
Charlie was getting ready to jump.
Yes.
And the crazy sick thing was, I can't remember if I was refereeing or I know I was watching. I went total shock after what's happened, okay? When Charlie impacted you, the glass shattered to a trillion pieces. Glass shot up Charlie's arm. Blood exploded everywhere. And you on the ground. You might have lost the match, but Charles went to the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts on that scenario? Explain to us.
Okay, Charlie, let's just say, he had this crazy idea of he was going to do the infamous leg drop through the glass table, and he was going to completely annihilate Chris Dickens in that matchup, which was fine. That was the way everything was supposed to go. However, what he didn't expect was a big shard of that tempered glass going up and slicing his arm about 6 inches deep into his muscle tissue. I walked away unscathed in that match. But Charlie did, yes. He had to go to the hospital. He ended up with, I can't even remember how many stitches in his arm. So, yeah, I lost the match, but I guess you could say that I proved to be more hardcore than Charlie Anarchy that day, because ever since then, I've been praised by Charlie for being one tough SOB. So,
well, Chris, going to a little bit further back in your career, I saw you take some very, very dangerous ladder matches where it wasn't that take place in the ring. You were falling off ladders, not landing on the ring, not landing on the breakable table. You were landing on red, hard clay, hard ground. There's no giveaway
on Georgia clay.
I mean, there's no giveaway there. There's no trampoline part. There's no pillows, soft cushion landing. This was straight up hardcore backyard crazy wrestling. That you kind of.
Some people like to call it underground wrestling.
Well, yeah, underground wrestling. That's
renegade
cool
wrestling. But yeah, there was moments back then where
what was the crazy stuff you did for as far as that kind of atmosphere in underground wrestling, as they call it?
I would have to say one of the craziest ones would have to be in 2002 when I went up against Christian Fury, back then was known as Mass Fury. He's now known as Christian Fury. We went in a last man standing match for the AWF Championship at AWF Annihilation. And I had this crazy idea of climbing up a tree that had a 2x4 nailed to the top about 15 feet in the air. And I was going to jump from that freaking 2x4. And back then, we never really planned everything out, what the spots were going to be or anything to that effect. We just went with it. We went on gut instinct. So my gut told me, climb up the damn tree, get up on that 2x4 and jump, and maybe you'll land on it, maybe you won't. Well, I climbed up, and this 2x4 was getting ready to break. And as soon as I jumped, Mr. Fury rolled out of the way, and I had nothing but red clay ground. And I bounced, I would say, a good 6 feet in the air before I landed back down and then started getting pummeled once again by Christian Fury.
Wow, bro, I'd say that was amazing. Now, speaking of Christian Fury, as we all know, back then he was known as Mask Fury, which to a lot of people didn't make no sense because he didn't wear a mask. But I will ask me that question when I get him on the show. Anyways, I want to talk about this one particular match. I still say it's one of the best matches in your entire wrestling career. Definitely in the top 5, if not number 1. You was in a matchup for the AWF Heavyweight Championship. This was Annihilation. Now, when I got the footage of this match, I went overseas. We just talked about. I went to overseas. I went to Okinawa, Japan. I've been to Afghanistan. I've been to Iraq. I've been to Kuwait. I've been to Russia. I took this match everywhere out there, okay? Clearly, there's one spot in this matchup where it looked like you legitimately broke Fury's neck.
That was the snap heard around the world.
And literally, the whole world saw it. You know, and I mean, what's the story behind this? What's the real story behind this?
Okay.
Give the fans the truth.
Everybody knows the wrestling business has storylines. Everybody knows that people get wrote off all the time if they're injured or if they got to take a leave or if they're getting ready to be released. Christian Fury, or Masked Fury back then, was getting ready to go into the United States Army. He was getting ready to leave. And we wanted to give a proper send-off, but we wanted to leave the door open for him to come back in for revenge. And we sat down and we thought, what can we do that's never been done? Because everything has been done. And that's one of the things I hate about the wrestling business these days, is it seems like there's no originality. So I wanted to be original as possible. We did copycat stuff all the time. We copied the WWF, WCW invasion with Flatline Championship Wrestling. And, well, we've seen how that turned out. But we wanted to do something original. So we came up with the concept of trying to put Fury out with an injury. And the whole time we're working this out, we're trying to figure out how are we going to do it. What are we going to do? And somebody came up with the idea of break his neck. So I was like, okay, well, how can I break his neck? And I'm like trying to think, my finisher was a CDX. It's a modified stunner. And
but it's kind of like a net breaker kind of style.
Yeah. Well, the way that came about was I was goofing around trying to figure out how to do it with the CDX. And the guy that I was working with accidentally turned and I hit him from behind with it. And when he landed, his back popped. And instantly, I was like, that's it. If I hit him with the knee from behind, he will lean back, and then I could grab him and modify the CDX reverse. And it basically looks like I'm breaking his neck. And that's how that came about. Now, I'm not giving away every secret of that match. I will give you that. But the whole idea of him being burned alive and everything else like that, that was an on-the-spot thing. And not a lot of people know this about that spot, but the ones who were there do. That my stupid, ignorant, young self was pouring racing fuel on the body, and I threw a lit candle while holding the racing fuel on the body and almost caught myself on fire.
Wow.
in that spot.
That's hilarious.
But that segment, as you said, it went around the world, and a lot of people saw it, and a lot of people fell in love with what we were doing, and they actually bought into what we were doing, so we did our job correctly.
They sure did.
And it still stands the test of time. And I will say that, I will go on record and say this, and I don't care how many people will say, well, no, that's not true. Nobody, professional wrestling, indie wrestling, backyard wrestling, whatever you want to call it, nobody has topped that matchup as far as it goes with how far it's traveled, how much emotion it is drawn out of people, and just overall feel and aspect and the storytelling of that match. Nobody has been able to top it yet.
Well, Christopher, I know that's always up for debate, unfortunately, wrestling has been known for its biggest egos, and I want to hit you on the top question about this match, a real dark secret that's been bugging the minds of people like, Christian Fury. Now, going in a storyline, that was for the Heavyweight Championship.
Yes.
Fury is supposed to go to the United States Army. And when he comes back, he's supposed to get his shot back at the AWF Heavyweight Championship.
I know where you're going with
that. That storyline didn't even happen. According to Fury, Brandon Parker bitched about it, wanted the AWF Heavyweight strap back. So the very next event, He defeated you for that championship belt. And then just to make Fury's ego happy, you created the 187 title. Because we all know when the flame happened, you hear Fury's voice. When the numbers 187 come together, I will come back and destroy your ass. And you guys tried to redo that match. What was it called? Resurrection?
It was Code 187.
Code 187, yeah. And then y'all didn't have the same kind of magic in that particular match.
No, okay, let's get the facts straight here. I won the championship at Annihilation. The whole thing with Brandon Parker winning the championship back was not because he was bitching and whining. The whole process of it was we were changing over. And AWF was merging with your Marine Corps Championship Wrestling, and we were merging with what would be later on Army Championship Wrestling that y'all had created while in the military, and we were becoming Extreme World Wrestling Alliance, which would later drop the world and just be Extreme Wrestling Alliance. We wanted to put the belt on Parker as a means of transitioning over, because he was considered the one that was extreme out of, because I was considered like more hardcore style. He was more of an extreme style.
Or like Fury, who claims to be the Lord of Hardcore.
But, he didn't bitch or moan about wanting the championship.
Fury did. And it caused a lot of friction between me and him.
Yeah.
I know it's another story and everything.
That's another story.
And we'll touch back on another podcast show or another later date and everything. I don't go too much in depth with that here because I know you mentioned Flatline earlier. You Flatline got a lot of...
You mentioned Flatline.
Well, yeah, I mentioned Flatline earlier, but you were talking about the whole invasion angle.
Right.
Copying what happened with WCW and WWE. Now, when Flatline first started, you and Daniel Main met, you and Milford met, y'all worked out some issues and everything. Y'all were able to come together and do some joint shows and everything. Without going too much in depth in that kind of scenario, the one thing that I saw, now you had some good matches with the Flatline people. Chris Green, Daniel Green, one of them, Daniel Green, some damn good matches and everything. But you had one hellacious feud with Daniel E. Main. And you were talking about CDX heard right around the world. You came out there literally stunned Daniel E. Main right in front of everybody when you guys were arguing about, I'm the owner of Flatline Championship Wrestling. You're the owner of AWF, and I loved it. Owner of AWF wrestles. And you came out and kicked him and stunned him. Now, when that happened, from my understanding is, his retaliation was to get in his truck and literally run you over. Explain it. What's the scoop? What's the scoop?
The CDX heard around the world that you talk about was the very first event that me and Christian Fury went to for Flatline. And we were supposedly signed to, but never did. But we went to it. And yeah, the whole opening promo was, who in the blue hell are you? I'm Daniel E. Main. I'm the owner of Flatline Championship Wrestling. And I come out, I'm Chris Dickens, and I damn sure know I'm the owner of AWF. And it's just like, that's nothing to be proud of. And FCW, Flatline Championship Wrestling, Flatline meaning dead. And we kept going, and then finally, like you said, the original line, the owner of Flatline doesn't wrestle, AWF's owner does, and boom, CDX. The retaliation.
How'd that make you feel, though? When you CDX'd him, and you gotta admit, a lot of Russian AWF looked up for you, man. That was awesome.
I will have to say that doing the CDX to Daniel Main was I could feel it right then that was a historical thing. It was something that no one would ever forget.
That's like a Fort Sumter moment.
Yeah.
Shots finally
fired. It was the first shot fired in the war of AWF and FCW. And, to this day, Daniel Main will call me his greatest adversary.
That's right. I remember.
I am his greatest rival because I can master everything that Daniel does and then some. When we work together, we are the greatest minds, but then at the same time, we are the greatest of rivals because we pretty much are either equal or polar opposites. And,
the truck thing, though.
The truck thing took place. Okay. this took place later on down the road, after Winter War Zone, after the whole deal of signing the Sports Entertainment Incorporated agreement that we had back then to work together as a cohesive unit. And what it was the rivalry between me and Daniel Main was still going. And it was a huge part of the AWF FCW story of the two owners battling each other out. And I would say it was the longest reigning rivalry that I've ever had next to me and Christian Fury. The truck thing happened basically with me. It was an opening segment for FCW Fight Zone.
Right.
I'm wanting to talk to Daniel. I'm walking to the truck. Now, keep in mind that this is all, as everybody knows, everything's planned out. Because Daniel plans everything out to the T. It has to be wrote out in a script, and it has to go to the T. Well,
like Randy Savage.
Yeah, this didn't go to the T. I was supposed to walk to the truck and say, hey, Daniel, I need to talk to you. And he's supposed to pull up, and he's supposed to honk the horn, giving me the signal to jump, so I would roll over the hood and roll off to the side, and I just got ran over by Daniel Main. I'm standing there, and anybody who watches the clip, plain as day, Daniel, I need to talk to you. He starts driving forward. He accelerates. And I'm standing waiting for the signal. And then I'm like, where's the horn? Where's the horn? There's no damn horn. And right before he gets to me, I jump, roll over the hood, hit the windshield, and then he honks his horn.
Wow.
I roll off the truck, land in front of the truck, and he gets out, and the one thing he's not worried about me. I cracked his windshield. So I'm getting cussed out because I cracked his windshield. And I'm like, you didn't give the signal. I did give the signal. I honked the horn.
Yeah, do it Daniel Main style. How did Daniel Main say it?
I was like, Chris Dickens, you broke my damn windshield. And he's like, no, I didn't break you. You didn't give me the signal. I did give you the signal. I honked the horn. No, you didn't. You honked the horn after I hit the windshield. Well, that's not my fault, Chris. You're supposed to know how to do this, right? You're supposed to be a professional wrestler. That's how it went. So when we cut the opening segment, because Daniel always liked to come out and cut a promo before every event, announce the matches. My music hits, I walk out, and I'm walking just fine. And he's like, Chris, I thought I hit you with a car. And he's standing with a shovel in his hand. Wow. And he goes to swing the shovel. I grab it. I throw it to the side. And he's like, damn it. And I hit him with a CDX. I grab his hat, and I put it on, and I walk off.
Damn.
And that was... After that,
how fast was Daniel Main going, you think? I think someone tried to say either 25 or 35 miles per hour.
He was hitting at least 25 miles an hour
wow.
when he hit me. But, I mean, it gave me a clip to use on my Effing Lunatics program, and it's something that I can look at.
It was awesome, man. A lot of hits on YouTube, helping out. Before we run out of time here, Chris Dickens, I know I want to go more in depth about wrestling and everything and your thoughts about it and everything, but I want to give you a few names.
Uh-huh.
And while I take names, you tell me the first thought. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give you the first thought.
So it's a thought, not just a single word?
Yeah, well, you give you a thought or a single word.
Okay. Whichever.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Ready? You ready?
Yeah.
First name? Thomasine.
That's my mom. That's my mom.
Okay. All right. Draven. Brandon Parker.
Very innovative, but egotistical at times.
Professor David Yale.
Very intelligent, very smart, but kind of, I wouldn't say ego-driven, but I would say he does let some things influence his thought process from time to time. But still, he's very, very brilliant guy and very smart with the business.
Hurricane Ben Hill.
First AWF champion.
Wow. Shadow Alan Luke.
My first ever rival. Yeah. And probably a great mind, but at the same time, I don't know how he is these days when it comes to that, but he was very egotistical back in the day too. But
Missy Scarlett.
Missy Scarlett. Wow.
Don't think too hard, no boss man.
I don't want to get myself in trouble. Missy Scarlett, I would have to say, really good person to rival with.
Justin Chambers, current heavyweight champion of AWF.
One of my greatest matches of all time.
Outstanding. All right. Masked Fury or Christian Fury?
Longest rival. Started together, rode together, but somehow drifted apart on the same road. We hit a fork and went different ways.
How about David Eugene Montgomery?
He'd rather be in Maine.
6. Eric Milford.
One tough SOB.
Diablo.
Really a tough SOB.
All right, I want to throw one more name at you. Night Stalker.
Night Stalker. Good opponent. Could be a little egotistical at times. Got a good heart when he needs it, but I guess you say the business kind of overrode him a little bit, which it does with a lot of people.
Speaking of the business and everything, I want to throw one more name and I'll be done. Del Sherrill. Or some would say no pay, no show.
Oh, Dale Sherrill.
We tried to sell AWF and DDT is a hope spot. Although the Freebirds and Jade Snails thought that was a finisher. Yeah, this guy knew this stuff about wrestling, didn't he?
Oh my God!
Probably the biggest mistake he ever did.
What was the dude who owned American Wrestling Association? Who was that? Vern Gagne. Should have sued his ass a long time ago. Oh man, I got the AWA in Augusta, Georgia. I think I summed up Dale Sherrill best with the little comic strip of Robin going, "There's an AWA show out," and Batman slapped him. It's already canceled.
Wow.
Actually, Dale Sherrill is on the hit list for Greg the Hammer Valentine and
Wildfire Tommy Rich.
Wildfire Tommy Rich. And Colt Cabana.
Oh, dude. I just had to think about this. I'm going to do this on my show. I got a few minutes left. Hopefully touch my bass will give me just a few extra minutes here. I want you to tell the story.
I own Touch My Bass, so I get outside of the world.
I know you own the story. I know he's a good friend of ours, the late Mike Margera. Bam.
Yes.
Now, in 2007, we were starting up AWFX. You had just came back from Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes.
Got connected with Mike and everything. You were already trying to advertise AWFX before it was ready. Now, this is true or false. Mike Margera supposedly contacted a big indie name, and all of a sudden, he called you. Oh, no, you did. No, you contacted him. Him. And then Mike answered the phone. What the hell was this? Tell us that freaking story and the guy's name.
Okay. We were trying to get things off the ground, and I was looking at independent talent, and I was looking at names. And I understand that I was just rolling my way into the business on that side of the business. So I had put in an email wanting a response back, and Mike said he would be the one to negotiate and talk to the talents. Yeah. So I left his number. So, I would say a week later, Mike walks up to me one of the shows, and he goes, "So, would you like to explain to me why New Jack called me at 12 midnight, wanting to know about a booking at a AWFX show for $500 down, plus motel, plus travel, and he would take it in a split $250 up front and $250 after," and I'm like, did he seriously call you?
Right? And then Mike hung up on
Mike said he called and he goes, "Hey, this is New Jack," and he goes, "Bullshit, you're not, quit ribbing me." And he goes, "No, this is seriously." He's like, "If you're New Jack, give me an example. I'll stab you with a fucking knife." Like, "Oh, this is New Jack." God rest Mike's soul, but yeah, New Jack called him at midnight about a booking. He goes, "If you're going to look for talent, Dickie, unlike the cats that you have in your bedroom, you need to start looking at a lower level, not someone like New Jack."
Well, damn, Curtis, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, hey, I enjoyed it. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good damn memory day. You know, this is the first show and everything. You know, I'm Bill Blanchard, my podcast here. Forgive me for stuttering a little bit. We're standing outside in 32-degree weather doing this show. We have fun, you know, wrestling on the grill. Hell, I love it and everything, you know. But join us next week. I'll be back here with a new guest on my wrestling show. Brand new podcast live every week on Touch My Bass Production. I'm Bill Blanchard. You have a blessed night. Thank you.